So out of the box or out of the wall, whatever you want to call it, we have Ni Zhao. So I've had this on the shelf for probably like 3-ish years, has never been opened, but the second one came out this weekend. I'm seeing it tomorrow or today. Yeah, in 3D. So I had to, watch the first one, see what I'm getting myself into. And is this a good animated movie from China? Let's find out. Chase Lee Hockey here with the Blue Futon reviewing Ni Zhao. I don't know if I'm saying it right. I heard it a couple times on the TV, but you know what? I'm just not the smartest guy, but what is about pretty simple premise? There's these two orbs, right? Kind of you say a good orb and a bad orb. One's a spiritual one, one's a demon one. And unfortunately, the demon one goes into this child of a pregnant lady, and 3 years for this kid to live, then lightning is going to strike and kill him. But while that is happening, the one that got the spiritual orb is a bunch of dragons, right? And the dragons are in this underworld, and they're thinking if they just destroy this one town, and the dragons could come back up to Earth, and they could rule the Earth forever. But will backstabbing happen? What about these crazy little wizards? What about this family? What about the humans? What about the dragons? Who is going to survive? Who's going to die? Who is going to become friends in this film? So that might have been the most longest, yeah, synopsis ever. But the quick one's pretty simple. Kid, good and evil, what are you going to choose? So did I like this film? I thought it was a well-crafted animated feature through and throughout. This movie came out in 2019, and the animation is good. From what I'm hearing from the second one, they were trying to outsource this some of the animation to make it a little bit better, but no one wanted to take on the project, so they kept it in-house from China's state-run media. So I'm intrigued on that. When I do watch some Chinese movies, I've noticed a lot of them have a bias to them, you could put it that way, where it's like it has to have an agenda in it of saying something about their history, about someone who's negative, who is the bad guy, and things like that. Here, it is more on the history route of China, even though it's kind of a fantasy realm. It's more of their, culture and things that do occur in the movie. And like I said, for the animation style, some of it's good, some of it isn't the greatest. When it does shine, it shines when the action set pieces in the third act with the lightning, with the nice clouds, with the nice effects going in there. But when they're talking here and there, it's kind of like, very simplistic. I want to say it looks cheap, but it looks kind of basic when it comes to that. So I'm guessing the budget of this one wasn't as great as the second one is going to be. And I just think it's bonkers that the second one, like this is the franchise is going to make $1 billion just in China alone, like in 2 weeks. To me, that's a little bit bonkers, and it doesn't make sense. People are like, oh, they beat America. But it's like, well, America has like, what, 360 million people? China has 1.3 billion. The only one above that is India, and they have 1.4 billion. So USA citizens, we're divided by 3.5, or maybe it's 4.2 or something like that compared to China. So when people are like bonkers about it, I kind of see it. But this franchise is the one that pushes it over the edge. Maybe because it's more, kid grounded and not the war movies that they usually do about that level. The voice acting is good. The story itself is a good message for kids about good, evil, listening to the parents. And I think that is where I kind of got a little bit frustrated, because the third act is very good. No ifs, ands, or buts. The third act of this movie is a very solid film. The first and second act of I want to say it's deceiving, trying to get to know some of these characters, the kids in the town and things like that. It was very tropey when it dealt with some of the animation styles. It was tropey when dealing with like what we were trying to do with some of the characters. And some of the characters were just a little bit annoying in my opinion, especially the kid. Like at a point, like it was like stabbing you in the back where the kid just like, something about that in movies where it's like kids that just don't listen, even though that might be true in true life. But I do feel like some kids, maybe it's just how I grew up and I listened and I really wasn't a bad kid and I just really focused on being a good person. So when I see these stuff like how this happens in the movie and other movies like this, it kind of just irks me where it's just like, come on, kid, be smart. Someone's trying to save you. It's like at a point, it's like, you're growing really quick. You're only 3 years old. There's protection for a reason. and you know the town hates you. Why are you purposely making the town hate you? At a point, you're like, if I want to make friends, don't be a dick. Like, at a point, you got to think of it that way, but it just never does it. Yeah, like I said, the animation's pretty good, but like I said, I can't have a lot of complaints with the third act because the action is really good, it's bombastic, and it's just fun to watch. So overall, knees out, and oh yeah, and 4K quality, right? Since this is a 4K disc from Wellgo USA, very bright, very colorful. The Adobe Atmos really shine, and that's what sucks with being a townhome. No, you're kind of sharing, and I have like a 7.1 surround sound, Adobe Atmos, and so I'm like, I gotta turn it down just a little bit, even though I want to freaking full pound my house. But that's why I just can't wait until I retire from my one job, get a nice paycheck, and get a forever home, because that ain't gonna be for like 7-ish years. Oh God. Anyway, Ni Zhao, it's a pretty good animated feature. Kids can love it. Adults are gonna like it. It is not just for the China crowd, and I think that's why I think it's appreciated and why it is making its wave in America for the second movie, because it isn't like propaganda. It isn't like, trying to have a specific message. It's a kid, good versus evil. It's a simple, universal story. So Ni Zhao will receive a 3.5 out of 5 with Futons, which equals at 70%. So see, the critics and user scores gave this one. Critics rated 88% with only 17 of them. Audience score 98% with over 250. No critic consensus. 88, 98, 70. Chase Hawk here, the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. One more thing, Futontopia. You Blue Futonians. Thank you for watching for a great day. I'm going to watch this tape tomorrow, week from a month, and you're for every single freaking one of you. Peace and love, and rock out with your spirit demons out. Wow.